Well, thank you, Chairman Joyce, and thanks to you and Ranking Member Clark for holding today's hearing. Thank you, Ms. Brandt, for your time today. As I've said before, I think that this subcommittee in particular has an important job to protect our communities and the rights of our fellow citizens, including by making sure that the executive branch is doing what it should, is not overreaching, and is not violating the rights of Americans. And on that point, I have serious concerns around how Americans' personal information is currently being used or misused in the federal government. And we've seen a few lawsuits and some recent reporting on the issue of citizens' data being used improperly by federal government employees, particularly in connection with the DOGE effort and Elon Musk. And on March 6th of this year, the Social Security Administration's Inspector General notified some members of Congress that it's reviewing a whistleblower complaint related to the potential misuse of Social Security Administration data by a former DOGE employee. The Washington Post reported that this investigation stemmed from a whistleblower complaint that a former DOGE software engineer at the Social Security Administration claimed to have retained copies of sensitive databases filled with personal information on almost every living American. It is hard to describe. I don't know that I have the words to describe what an incredible abuse of power that is. But the unfettered access to American sensitive personal data that we have seen by officials in this administration, particularly by the DOGE staff, is incredibly alarming. And the firewalls that I've understood to be in place between agencies and preventing access to information seem to have come down. So just last month, DOGE decided to post a whole database of CMS's Medicaid provider spending without clear guardrails on its use or an explanation of its limitations. And the HHS DOGE's Twitter/X account said that using this data set, it would have been possible to easily detect the large-scale autism diagnosis fraud seen in Minnesota. That data set has since been pulled down with the website saying now that it's being updated. So Ms. Brandt, I want to ask you about this in particular. Did you approve of this Medicaid data set being posted or assist DOGE with collecting and posting this data in any way?
Are you referring specifically to the HHS data that you just referenced?
Yes, to the data set of CMS Medicaid data that DOGE posted. Were you involved in that collection of data or approving that?
No, I was not involved in the collection or the approval of the posting.
Okay. And do you agree with their statement that large-scale fraud was easily, and they said easily detectable using the data set? And if you do agree with that, then why didn't CMS catch it?
I would agree that data can be used to be able to find those types of fraud. I couldn't comment as to how easily that is available. I can say that our team used the same data sets to be able to drive a lot of our program integrity oversight that we have been doing. And we also discovered that there were issues with autism fraud, both in Minnesota as well as elsewhere in the country.
And so in that process, if you didn't approve the DOGE folks' collection or use of this, and it may be true that you can use data sets, of course, I think we would all agree with that data and having fact-based evidence and data is what we need to use to make decisions. Did anyone in the DOGE effort at HHS consult, to your knowledge, ask about how this was used, or why safeguards to that data are so important? Because putting it out there on X seems like not what we should be doing with sensitive data without any guardrails. I mean, was there any awareness on your end that something like that was going to happen with their access to this data?
Again, I can't speak to what DOGE knows or doesn't know or how their decision-making process works, but I can tell you that at CMS, we take very seriously our privacy responsibilities and our responsibility to make sure that we are safeguarding people's data.
Well, and I appreciate that, and that is absolutely essential to your charge. Americans across the country are trusting that when they share this information, whether it's with CMS, whether it's with Social Security, whether it's with the IRS, that this data is protected. And I think you've answered my next question. You're not aware of what has been shared with DOGE, but you agree with me that there are safeguards that exist to prevent it from misuse, and this committee should make sure that those safeguards are followed.
We are always doing that at CMS.
Okay, well, I have used up my time, so I thank you very much for your testimony, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.